Dear grade 12 students, welcome to this video lesson which will be devoted to revising the grammar of modules 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So please make sure you have your student's book and your workbook with you. Today's lesson has one learning objective, so by the end of this video you'll be able to review key structures covered through modules 1 to 5 by answering a set of related questions with a high degree of accuracy. So let's get started. We will begin with activity C in your student's book, page 20. Your task is to write the first 6 bracketed verbs in the present simple or the present progressive. So please pause this video here for a while and do the task. Excellent. Let's correct together. So space number 1, we should write do you hear? Then for the second space, you can write always moves if the speaker refers to a repeated action in the present simple, or always moving if the speaker wants to show annoyance of a certain behavior. Then space number 3, and the correct answer is living, because the action is happening at the moment of speaking, and this is marked by the use of the time expression at the moment. After that, space number 4, and the correct answer is writes, because the phrase every now and then tell us that the speaker is referring to a habitual action. Next, space 5, and we should write sends, as the verb describes a habitual action. And finally, space number 6, you can write either doesn't use to indicate that the state is permanent, or is not using to show that the state is or the situation is temporary. Now let's move to activity C in your student's book, page 34. In this activity, you will fill in the first 4 spaces using the bracketed verbs in the present perfect simple or the present perfect progressive. So please pause this video here and give it a try. Well done. Let's see the answers. So for the first space, we should use the present perfect simple because it shows a recently completed action. So the correct answer is have just completed. Then in space 2 and 3, we should also use the present perfect simple. So the correct answers are have not only passed, have also achieved, because both actions happened in the past and finished, but the results are obvious in the present. Finally, space 4, we can have 2 possible answers here. So we can use the present perfect simple, and in this case we should write has worked, because the verb refers to a state which started in the past and continues up to the present. Or we can use the present perfect progressive, and we should write has been working, to emphasize the duration of a state which started in the past and continues up to the present. Now we do activity D in your student's book, page 34. You are required to complete the second sentence using the words given in a way that it has a similar meaning as the first sentence. For presentational reasons, this activity has been divided into 2 slides, but for you, I would like you to pause this video here and do the whole activity. Well done. Let's correct. So for the first sentence, you should write, we can't afford to attend a seminar as expensive as that. Next, the second sentence. You have to rewrite it using the word the. So we should write, the harder I studied, the easier the work became to understand, or the harder I studied, the easier it became to understand the work. After that, the third sentence, and it should be rewritten in this way. I've never attended a worse lecture than this one, or I have never attended a lecture worse than this one. We continue with the same activity. So to rewrite sentence number 4 using the word more, we should write, research shows that more and more companies are promoting lifelong learning. Finally, sentence 5, and it should be rewritten by saying, of all the professors at this university, he is the most helpful. Now we do activity B in your student's book, page 50. You are required to choose the correct verb form. So please pause this video here and do the task. Well done. Let's correct. The first answer is was watching, and we use the past progressive here because the action was in progress at a certain time in the past. Next, for the second answer, we should choose the past simple, started, because the action is completed in the past. And you notice that a time expression is mentioned here, which is after a year. Also, for the next answer, we will choose the past simple tense for the same reasons we have mentioned for the second answer. So we are going to select needed. Next, for number 4, we should select use to open because it referred to a repeated action in the past. And for answer number 5, we should choose would usually work because it referred to a typical behavior in the past. Finally, for number 6, we will select the past perfect continuous had been running because there was an emphasis on the duration of an action which took place before another action in the past. The duration is marked by the use of by mentioning for nearly 15 years, and the second action in the past is when I retired. Now let's move to activity B, page 50. Again, you are required to rewrite the sentences using the words on your right hand. Again, for presentational reasons, this activity has been split into 2 slides. But for you, I would like you to pause this video here and rewrite the 6 sentences. Well done. Let's see the answers. We start with the first sentence and we should write, I was visiting relatives in Australia when I saw my first koala. We move to the second sentence. We need to rewrite it using as. So we should write, as he was traveling through the region, he heard about the rare birds that live there. Then, sentence number 3, which needs to be rewritten using used. So we should write, I used to think that adults knew everything until I became one myself. We continue the correction of the same activity. Now, sentence 4. Which we will rewrite using would. So we can write, when I was at university, I would study late into the night. Here we should use the base form of the verb study. After that, sentence number 5. We should rewrite it using by the time. So we can write, by the time we decided to leave India, we had been living there for 2 years, or we had been living in India for 2 years by the time we decided to leave. And make sure here use the past perfect progressive instead of the past simple tense for the verb live. Finally, sentence 6. We should rewrite the sentence in this way. I was going to take a course in child psychology, but then I found out how much it would cost. And here we use was going to because we are referring to what we intended to do in the past, but probably didn't. Now in this activity, we will review the future tense. So please pause this video here for a while and write the verbs in brackets in the correct future form. Well done. Let's see the answers together. Number 1, we should write starts. And we use the present tense here with a future meaning because it refers to official programs and timetables. We move to sentence number 2. We should write will make because it refers to a promise. The next answer should be I'm going to take because it refers to a decision which has already been made. Then for our sentence number 4, because there is an indication that an action will be in progress at a specific time, the correct answer here is will be exploring. After that, number 5, and the correct answer is going to rain because we are referring to a prediction based on present evidence. The present evidence here is clouding over. We continue with the future tense. So again, please pause this video here and write the verbs in brackets in the correct future form. Well done. Let's see the answers. So number 6, we should answer with the future perfect continuous, will have been playing. And you notice that the emphasis is put on the duration of the action up to a certain point of time in the future. This duration is emphasized by mentioning for 12 years. And the point of time is by June. We move to number 7, and the correct answer here is will have completed. And we've chosen the future perfect simple as it indicates that the action will be completed before a specific time, which is by the end of this year. Now sentence 8, and we should write will warm because the decision to warm up the chicken is spontaneous. Finally, for sentence 9, we should use the present progressive with future meaning. So the correct answer is are having because the action refers to a personal arrangement. Now let's move to the workbook. We will start by activity F, page 46. You are required to rewrite the sentences using the words on your right hand. For presentational reasons, this activity will appear on 2 slides. But for you, I would like you to pause this video here for a while and rewrite all the sentences. Well done. Let's correct together. So the first sentence can be rewritten in 2 ways using the word if. So you can write either if you eat those biscuits, you won't be hungry for lunch, or you won't be hungry for lunch if you eat those biscuits. The difference between the 2 answers is only the position of the word if. In the first answer, it appears in the beginning of the sentence, and in this case, we should use a comma to separate the if clause and the main clause. But in the second answer, if appears in the middle of the sentence. And this is true for all the sentences of this activity. Now, next sentence number 2, also we can rewrite it in 2 ways. So we can say, we will have finished by 6 o'clock providing we start now, or providing we start now, we will finish by 6 o'clock. We continue the correction of the same activity. Now sentence number 3, and we can write, when the temperature is very low, the car doesn't start, or the car doesn't start when the temperature is very low. Finally, sentence number 4, and also we can rewrite it in 2 ways. The first one, we can write, there is no way we can make a fire unless we have logs, or unless we have logs, we can't make a fire. Now we go back to the student's book to do activity C, page 80. Your task is to report the following sentences using the introductory verbs on your right hand. So please pause this video here and do the task. Great. Let's see the correction. But first, I need to tell you that all the introductory verbs should be written in the past simple tense by adding ed. So for the first sentence, we should report it by saying, the police officer ordered the driver to get out of his car. And make sure you keep the indirect object, the driver, immediately after ordered. Then use the full infinitive and change the pronoun your to his. Now the next sentence, and we should write, Mike reminded me to update my CV before sending it. We should write the indirect object me, followed by the full infinitive also, and we should not forget to change your to mine. For the following sentence, we should write, Annabelle threatened to make all the employees work overtime if the project wasn't finished that day. You notice that no indirect objects have been used, but we write immediately the full infinitive after the introductory verb threatened. And remember to change isn't to wasn't, and today to that day. The correct answer for the last sentence is, Elizabeth wondered if or whether she would get a bonus for all her work that year. You notice that if or whether should be used after the introductory verb wondered because it is a yes-no question. Then we change I to she, will get to would get, my becomes her, and this year becomes that year. Now we go back again to the workbook to do activity C, page 57. You are asked to rewrite the sentences in reported speech. You are provided with the beginning of the reported sentence, and your task is to complete it. So please pause this video here for a while and report the first 4 sentences. Well done. That's correct. So sentence number 1 is a WH question. So we should write, Mandy asked me where I would go on holiday. You notice that you changes to I and will go to would go. And please make sure you have the subject written immediately after the WH word, followed by the verb. We move to the second sentence, which is a request. So we can report it by saying, Olivia asked me to post that package for her. You see that the full infinitive is used here because it's a request and not a question. We have also changed this to that and me to her. After that, sentence number 3, which is a command. So we should report it by writing, the director told Steve to join the meeting once he had finished the project. You notice that the full infinitive, if used, is used for the first verb. So we write to join. But the second verb changes from has finished to had finished. And of course, you changes to he. Finally, sentence number 4, and again it's a WH question. So we reported by writing, I asked Jack how the printer turned off. So you can notice that the auxiliary verb does disappeared and turn off changed to turned off. Now you know all the grammatical structures that might be subject of questions in the QSSC English exam. This is the end of today's video. Thank you very much for being attentive, and remember that this video will be available on Microsoft Teams. Goodbye.